The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome everyone to Straight from the Paws. Today we have a special segment that we're going to introduce a new organization, well, new to me anyway, that's in the area, and I'm going to introduce you to a very dear and old friend, only in time that we've known each other, Kathy Salmon. Some of you might recognize her, and also Sue Furtado, who we just met, so we're not related. But we are here today to talk about their organization, and I think Sue's going to take the lead on this. So can you explain to me what exactly is the name of your organization, first of all?
It's Waiting Animals Getting Support, WAGS for short.
Waiting Animals Getting Support. Nice. Okay, so that's an acronym, which is a nice acronym. I like that, and it's WAGS. Okay, and you're located in Dighton?
We are based out of Dighton, yes, but we are a foster-based rescue, so we have fosters throughout New England and through the South.
Through the South as well?
Yes.
Interesting. Now, how do you get all of your animals into foster care? Like, where do they come from?
So generally, our animals could come from shelters that are out of space, particularly in the South, where there's a high euthanasia rate. Mm-hmm. There are many areas of the South where there actually are no municipal shelters and no animal control, so often they're abandoned animals that are found by our fosters, or our fosters are contacted to say, we found, puppies in a ditch, or we saw someone throw animals out of a vehicle, or whatever the case may be. And then we get them emergency or routine medical care, work on transportation, and get them up.
Okay, so locally you yourself is located in Dighton,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how many fosters do you have in this, let's say, Bristol County area?
I would say probably a dozen, and we are always looking for more. Most of our fosters have multiple animals for us. Currently, we have a foster with 3 up here in Massachusetts. We have fosters in the South that have a dozen.
Wow. All right, so next question would be, how does the foster have to provide the food for the animals?
WAGS will supply all supplies. So we will do food, crates, beds, any enrichment supplies, any assessment or training that's needed, and of course, all veterinary care.
Oh, wow. Now, I know from running an animal shelter that we're talking cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
So how does that work for your organization?
We are, we call ourselves professional beggars. We are constantly fundraising. We are always looking for donors, funders. We do a tremendous amount of fundraising, and they can be small online fundraisers like a raffle on our Facebook page, or they can be larger events that we plan throughout the community.
Okay. So you're in competition with me then?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Every save is a good save.
Every save is a good save. Yeah, no,
community, not competition, right?
It's awful that the amount of begging, as you say, that we have to do. I have a term that I won't use on the air, but it's well, I will use it. I say that in the past I've had to prostitute myself for this organization to get what we need, because it's been a long time. We've been in existence for 27 years, and I've been doing this for 26, and it's been a long time doing that job.
Yes.
and it's not getting easy. The piece of the pie is getting smaller and smaller, especially for the animals. Right. And luckily in our state of Massachusetts, we do go after people that are hoarding or people that have abused animals. And just recently, New Bedford, Manny Maciel in ACO New Bedford won a really, I hate to say it, but he won a case against a person that had had animals and abused them and so on. So it's beginning to happen in our state, not so much in the southern states, as we all know. And that's difficult. So tell me about transportation. Let's say you have an animal in Tennessee and you want to bring him up here. How does that work?
It is becoming more and more difficult, because I'd like to pride ourselves on WAGS has very high standards in terms of the quality of services that we provide or that we use. So there's only certain transporters that we'll use. There's only certain transport vehicles that will allow to transport our animals. The last 2 transports were private transports that we hired. So 3 dogs that we had come up from Georgia last week, those 3 dogs were $1,000 just in transport.
Wow.
So when we talk about adoption fees, and I know I'm sure you share the same issue, will frequently be, oh, it's so expensive. If you really want to rescue these dogs, you know, why don't you just give them away? We lose money on every single dog that we adopt out. So all the fundraising is to subsidize that. So the transports, we use official companies, but they're few and far between. Many won't come to Massachusetts because Massachusetts can be difficult bureaucratically to deal with. But we have to quarantine in Massachusetts,
Yes,
and so
we do.
we need them to come into Massachusetts. And so we either use an approved transport company approved by us, or we use private transport.
So let's talk a little bit about quarantine. How do you work out your quarantine situation?
So we go through the Mass Department of Agriculture for the appropriate and approved quarantine locations, and right now we're working with Westport, Patrick's Place, also known as Westport Dog, and so we pay for every dog that goes into quarantine. So transport brings the dog directly to quarantine. They're quarantined for 48 hours per regulation, and then our fosters or adopters, along with either myself or Josie Rezick, who's co-founder of WAGS and the vice president on the board, one of us is there as well to do the transition to foster or adoption. That's the best part, right?
That's the best
That's
part.
why we
It
all
always is.
rescue.
Yeah, that's the best part. What we do, and like this past week, I don't know if you've ever heard of Vintage Rescue. It's for a hospice and seniors. It's in Foster, Rhode Island. I drove to Foster to drop a dog over there that needed to be brought over there, and they're wonderful. They get dogs in there. We had some dogs in from Texas, but they do hospice care as well, which is incredible. And we transport. So we're always looking for transport people, but we do individuals that we know, and they'll use their own cars, and then there's a few of us that are on the van for the shelter, so that we will go do the transports back and forth when we have to. So it isn't easy. People think it's easy, and it's not easy. Now, Kathy, what's your role in this business?
Well, I've been somewhat involved with WAGS since day one, here and there, mostly with donations or doing the photography. And then recently, Sue had asked if I would consider being on the board. So I've joined the board
Nice. Congratulations.
to help out with not only with the organization itself, all over, overlooking things, but also with the fundraising, which, as you know, is one of my favorite things to do.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Guess we lost her on that. Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's good. Now, how many people do you have on your board?
We have 5 currently on the board. We just had a rotation of people whose terms ended, and we brought on some new folks. Yeah.
Yeah, my board doesn't do that. I've been president for more years than I can count, and I've said this before. Unfortunately, with our board, we have 12 members, and what it is that when the bylaws were written up by the person that founded the shelter, it was written so that she would always be the president, so that there was no term limits. And there aren't any term limits, and you could have as many, up to, I think it's up to 16, but we kept it at even 12. And so what's happened is every time that we want to change that rule, that bylaw, it comes in March, and that's when we can change our bylaws. And Bev, who's been the treasurer for as many years, or probably more than I've been the president, she makes a motion, and no one will second it. No one wants the position. So it becomes a very difficult task. So far, I'm still able to do it, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing. But sometimes it can't. It would be nice if I even said to my vice president, take it over for a year, and I'll be vice president, and then we can switch off. And it was like, no. You're doing a great job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Having the brick and mortar building, as you met Ariana, our director, it's difficult. We don't have the money to pay for an executive director, so she's our director. So you would understand, she's the director. She does in the building and all that, but she works in close liaison with myself, and Bev is our treasurer, and so she takes care of the grounds, the bills, everything. We don't have a book. We don't have anybody that does the billing. Bev does that all for the business, and then we have. I do all the people end of it. So I do the fundraising, all that. And that, it's as you know, it's a difficult task. It's not easy.
It is challenging. The the initiation of WAGS was an interesting accident. I'd actually gone to a fundraiser that Kathy had held for another, I think it was it
That
Forever
was,
Paws?
well,
It was
they were part of it when
Right.
we did
Okay.
the wine tasting at
Oh,
the
okay,
museum.
many years ago, yes,
So I
remember
went
that.
down, and Kathy happened to mention, you know, it'd always been a dream of mine that when I retired, that you know, ultimate goal that I still haven't reached, that when I retired, I would start an animal rescue. That was my thought. I used to walk the animals at our local shelter. Our local shelter is unmanned, unstaffed. It's
Right.
just a trailer in Dighton, and so I had thought that would be a great plan. And then Kathy had told me that there was a free training that was going to happen at UMass Dartmouth for nonprofits. If you wanted to learn how to do a nonprofit, if I was interested, I should go. And I went to that, found it, you know, incredibly interesting. It was very well run. There were lots of resources available, and through happenstance, I happened to be able to go to a national conference, the Humane Society. It's actually an international expo, so I was able to get free passage to fly there and to attend this conference. And on the plane ride, when I saw the need at that volume, when I sat at tables with veterinarians from all over the world talking about these new spay and neuter techniques where they could do 150 dogs in a day, and then I met with, you know, folks that were building transport companies and Shelter Love and all these different places, and heard about the tremendous need. I mean, I always knew it on some level, but not at that level. So WAGS was built on the plane flight back. It was me and my then college-age daughter, and I said, okay, we can't wait, we have to do this. So it literally started around my dining room table with the two of us going, we can do, you know, how hard can this be? Famous last words, how hard can this be?
Yeah,
We can do
sure.
this. And here we are 7 years later. So to circle back to the board issue, we're really sort of in transition. You know, we've been the little train that could. It's just sort of really committed do-gooders doing the best that we can, but it's really time to take us to the next level in terms of just foundation and administrative level. One day we'd like to have a facility. It's a future goal. It's way off in the future right now, but we can see, you know, sort of a strategic plan forming. But right now we're boots on the ground and just trying to save as many as we can.
Well, that's a good thing. And then how did you reach out to the South? How did you get involved with the southern states?
The need was so tremendous, and it was really just word of mouth, someone contacting me and saying, I remember how naive I was when I got a call from Texas. It was a shelter in Texas that said, you know, we have this mom dog with 11 one-day-old puppies, and Dr. C's coming in tomorrow to make his list. And I didn't understand what that. I said, what list is Dr. C coming in? And they said, well, he comes in to make the euthanasia list. I said, well, yeah, but you just said this is a mom with 11 puppies, so they're not on the list. And they were like, of course they're on the list. This happens here all the time. And I was like, oh no, okay, so I'll take that mom and the 11 puppies. I'll tag them, whatever that was then. And they said, oh, okay. And then I started getting, well, what about this German Shepherd, and what about this? And now that I had tagged them, I was like, well, who's picking them up? They're in Texas.
Right.
I'm in Massachusetts. So I literally developed a network with individuals that I knew that lived in Texas, with other friends who put me in touch with people that they trusted in Texas, and we got the animals out into foster. We got them to Louisiana. Eventually, when Josie came on board, she had an immense network in Georgia. Several years ago, we built kennels in Georgia, indoor, outdoor, air, heat, piped in music, and a grooming station. So we have at least a place where our dogs can sort of get from Texas, you know,
Nice.
to sort of be assessed further before they come up to transport. So it's really been an organic kind of. I had this conversation with someone yesterday and said we literally had no idea what we were doing. It was ready, shoot, aim, and we said, oh, we can save animals. How difficult can this be? So it's been incredibly educational.
It is, and it's there's still a need, and what people don't understand. Oh, they do understand to some degree. Massachusetts has done a great job with spay and neuter. We're one of the leading states in this, and we belong to MAC, which is probably a group you should probably join as well. They're very helpful, and Massachusetts Animal Coalition, and they have some conferences and workshops and things, but they're also very helpful as far as giving us information as to what's available out there and what the new laws are and so on. So
I used
again,
to go to all those meetings.
yeah,
they're
we're
very
ahead.
informative.
we're ahead of the curve in Massachusetts, but again, there are a lot of animals that are being euthanized. And you know, the thing that I want people to understand, and I don't know if you ladies agree with me, but everyone says to me, oh, I don't know how you do it. I see that commercial ASPCA and it just breaks my heart and I feel so bad. And I get it, but someday I think people should just take a look at how much money the ASPCA, people in sort of in our positions, make. Take a look at that first before you, and think local. You know, I'm very prone to saying small business and local. Even with running Forever Paws, everything that I try to do is local. I use, you know, everything that we can, we use local because we think it's important. But in retrospect, also think local when you're thinking of your animals, you know, association. When I said in jest before, you know, we're competition, we're not, because we're going to work we're going to work together. We may have a dog that we may send to you and you may say, I can't do this, and you know, and that's how it works. Like I said, I went last Saturday, gave up Saturday and went to Foster and met this wonderful place, and was really, really nice, you know. Broke my heart, wanted to walk away with 2 dogs, and I said, no, they're, you know, got to get out of here before we agree to it. And they don't even take adoption fees, which I still don't quite understand that yet. But they're looking, you know, now that I'm friends with them on Facebook, I'm seeing that they're always doing the same thing we are, going out and running.
What's the name of
It's called Vintage.
Vintage. I love that name.
Yeah, it's Vintage, and the place is very vintage. It was an old church, but not like a Catholic church. It might have been like a Protestant, I don't know what, but a Protestant church. So it's down in the basement, and they must have had a like a soda bar. Well, they had a soda thing, a soda bar, and they still have the stools there from the 50s. And it's got the bar there, but it's got linoleum on the floor from the 50s, but it's all open space, and they had like 6 or 8 volunteers just sitting on the floor with the animals, just petting them, because some are in hospice who will pass, and some are adoptable. And they, like I said, some from Texas it was. 3 came in and 3 left. And the people that own either the building or the business, I didn't quite get that, live on the top of the church, and they have like 10 dogs themselves. So it's one of those things where those of us that are in the animal world devote our life to it.
Yes.
It's not a job. It's not a career.
We're not being paid for it.
Right.
We're
all volunteer.
Exactly.
We have jobs in order to be able to do this in our free time.
Yeah, and that's the point that I think people need to hear. When people like yourselves, you know, that you volunteer, and myself too, that volunteer to do this, it's a volunteer basis. I have a landline now just for fundraising. You know, I have an office at home because I don't work at the shelter, but you know, it's taken over my life. I plan my vacations and my private time when I know that I've got coverage. But now that I have Ariana, who I always say, and our viewers know this, fantastic director, I can leave and not feel like I'm going to be worried about what's going back at the shelter. Yeah. Now it works out really well. Time is always on your side, so to speak, in our shelter, because we believe that we're a no-kill shelter, so we do our best to get every animal adopted. You know, some do come back, and sometimes there's a mistake or 2, and unfortunately, that's okay. We want the animal back. Give us the animal back, and we'll do what we can. But we do, and a lot of things now, and you're in a tough situation now, as you well know, because veterinary care is very expensive.
Astronomical.
Veterinarians are not available. They're rare. Going to the MAC organization, we learned that veterinary, especially during COVID, was one of the highest rate of the highest rate of suicides.
Yeah.
You know,
many left during that period.
And many just couldn't take it anymore, and they left. And so those that we have now, we have to treat them with, you know, love and kindness and understanding, and know that you have to wait for your appointments. But in the situation that we're in, trying to get our animals adopted and get them spay and neutered and all that, it's very difficult. And people don't understand that. So I commend you for doing what you're doing, both of you, because it's not an easy task, for sure.
There is nothing ezy about it, and nothing more rewarding when it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going through the trauma on the initial end. You know, I like to assign other people. I always say, don't tell me the story. I don't want to know the story of how the injuries happened or how this situation has arisen for this poor animal. Tell me what the solutions are that we need, and I will find the solution. I'll find the money. I'll find the resources. But the trauma literally becomes too much to take. So I just, my own career is actually in the nonprofit sector working with vulnerable populations, and I learned early on the same situation, that reading referral packets and hearing about the trauma that an individual has endured is too much for me. So I'll just build the programs that will solve it, but I don't want to know it. And then I thought, and in my free time, what did I do? I immediately found another population
Same
of
kind of
traumatized,
population. Yep.
traumatized individuals. So, but you know, it's interesting that you bring up vintage, because we've had a handful, certainly not our expertise, but it's just turned out that we have had a handful of hospice cases, forever hospice, and in those cases we pay everything, knowing that the home they're in is until the end.
Till the end.
And we don't expect someone to take on the incredible medical expense that comes with something like that. So we have had a number of hospice cases.
So I hear you have an event coming up.
We do.
What do you have?
This is we've done a number of events through the years, some really great ones, but this is the biggest one we've had so far. So this is WAGS, our version of Woodstock. It's a live music event. It'll be happening in East Bridgewater at the East Bridgewater Commercial Club, which is 1 Nelson Avenue in East Bridgewater. And that's on Saturday, June 8th from 12 to 6. We have 2 live bands, Blues Mob and the Michelle Rockwell Band, that play a variety of music, everything from top 40 to blues to rock. If you like music, you will love this music. We have food trucks. We have adoptable pets. We have a good number. At this point, we're at about 50 crafters and artisan vendors. We will have henna tattoos for the adults and kitty tattoos for the kids. Lots of free kids activities, and all children 16 and under are free. And it's really going to be a fantastic event. We're very excited about it.
How can people get the tickets?
You can get the tickets by going on our website, which is wagsforall.org. We will also be at a number of places live in the month of May, so that will be on our website too, but you'll find us at a Super Walmart in Raynham and Market Basket, Freights in Dighton, and Arujo's Farms, and a couple of other places. So, and throughout Bridgewater. We're working on that right now as well.
And you have how many people working for you?
We are a small but mighty group.
I would say so. That sounds like you've got a lot of time devoted to being out there. And
we have, at this point, on this committee, I think our volunteer call last night had 27 volunteers that signed up. So we have lots of folks who are not able to help us maybe on a regular basis because of other commitments,
Sure.
but have signed up for the one day. We have students from Bristol Agricultural High School who have signed up to build our WAGS to Riches board, which will be a large board of all the adopted animals. The thing about WAGS is, while we focus primarily on dogs and cats and domestic animals, we do save anything that wags. So to date, that has included donkeys, a snapping turtle, an African parrot, gerbils, hamsters, rabbits, chickens. If there's a need and there's a way that we can help, we do our best to make that happen. So we hope people will come out and enjoy the event. It's very family friendly.
And what is the cost? So people
It
know?
is, early bird is $20 per person. Again, adults 16 and under are free. And day of, it's $25.
Sounds good. Sounds very interesting.
Yes.
You had me lost there when you was talking about music, because as our audience knows, I'm not a comedy person. I'm not a music person. Never have been. Not interested. Don't you know? That's just me. I'm very dull. I'll admit it. I'm dull. But you know, when you started saying vendors and stuff, then you maybe you had me there. You know, I have to look at my calendar and see how things are going. But and if you have a poster, I'd be more than happy to put it up at the shelter for you. Yeah, put it up.
And
That's great.
I do want to add that we're also looking, if you're interested in sponsoring the event, you can go right to the website again, and there's a form on there if you're interested, or just contact Sue. There's a contact number. So.
Which is good, which is very good. And, and we pray that the sun gods give us sun that day.
Yeah,
and not
we've
rain.
ordered a 72-degree sunny day. That's what we've put out into the universe.
okay,
So that's
so-
what we're expecting. There is a covered pavilion. There is a large 20 by 40 foot tent. So there are covered areas. The band is covered, so they play no matter what. So it's going to be a good time one way or another, just like Woodstock, but without maybe some of the extras.
Little extra.
We're going to keep our clothes on.
Yeah, extra entertainment and in some ways that we don't all use sometimes.
Right.
Well, is there anything else that you ladies would like to mention that I haven't asked?
The only thing I'd like to say is we are always in need of vendors, fosters, adopters, volunteers. You can be a one-time volunteer, an ongoing volunteer. We look for sponsorships. We have 8 sanctuary dogs, actually 9 at this point, who are dogs that can't be placed for a variety of reasons. They're often in need of, regular expensive medical care or whatever, so we're always looking for sponsors that might be willing to take that on. Everybody can do something, even if it's just share our post, and together we know that we save more. So if you have any interest at all in finding out more about WAGS, please go to our website, wagsforall.org, and we'd be happy to provide more information.
Well, sounds like very good. Now, Kathy, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, good to go. Hopefully we see you on June 8th. It's going to be a great event. And again, if you're looking to buy tickets, you can go to our website, wagsforall.org. And if you're looking to sponsor, the same thing. Go to the website.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming. I wish you big success with that, as well as everything that you're doing. And just keep me informed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.